Hi everyone, I'd like to explain. I want to use an example to explain how to convert an ER diagram, ER model to relational tables, to relational model. Which means relational tables. All right. Assume that this is our exam assignment from chapter 12. That a company operates for departments. Department is operated by a company. Then department has one or many employees. And each of the employee, you pick up each of the employee is hired by one department. And here the same way that each employee, you pick up the employee has zero or many employee history. Or you pick up the employee history, it belongs to one and only one employee. And each employee has zero or many dependent, some don't, and some have more than one. And each dependent belongs to one and only one employee. So this is how we read the ER model. So the company pick up the one company, operate 4 departments. Each department is operated by one and only one company. Okay, this is how we read. Just be careful. Now, based on this, if we want to convert it into relational model, according to the website that is posted, I just put into our term project link. This is on the term project, or I also put it in week 2 normalization. Now, normalization is only a knowledge level. I don't want to put any project. Your project doesn't need normalization. So it's only a knowledge. You just understand what is normalization. I will use example to explain it. Okay. So this is a converting a relational model to ER model into relational model. So I'm going to use the website. Right. If you go to the website, go to the second page, the second slide, you will see that there are some rules. Now, I'm going to skip the strong weak entity starting from one to many and many to one. And for many to one to many, the rule says that if you have one to many, and then in the many side, you are going to add, when you convert into a relational tables, in the many side, you want to add. See, this is one to many. In the many side, which is order, customer make, place 0 or more order. The many side is going to add. You are going to add a primary key of one side as foreign key. So convert this to a table, which is this order table, a customer ID, a customer table, your customer ID, name and address and phone. Order table, you have order number, salesperson, customer, and then you add the customer ID, which is a primary key on one side. So I'm going to create a company relation or company table that contains company ID and company name, and also address and telephone number. And then for department, so you can see that for the company entity, I'm creating a relation or is a table for it. And again, for department, I also create a table for department, which is department ID and department name. Now, don't forget, according to the website, the conversion algorithm is this is the many, because 4 is many. So 1 to many, department is many, because this 4 stands for many. So in the 4 side department, I'm going to add, I got to add a primary key. I'm going to add a primary key, which is company ID. Then I make it as a foreign key. So actually company ID is a PK in the company table, but is a foreign key in the department table. So actually, what we did is we're going to add a foreign key. Add a foreign key, which is a primary key of the one side. So that is for the one-to-many situation. Now let's look at between the department and employee. A department is one too many here. So in the many side, which is employee, you are going to add a primary key of the one side. So it will come up with a department which is one side at this moment. So I'm going to add the department ID, and this will be a foreign key in this case. So this is one, this is many side. So in the many side, I'm going to add a primary key on one side. So this is relation. This belongs to this relation. Let's look at the employee and dependent. The employee and dependent, and we can see that dependent this is one too many. So therefore we have to create entity for dependent, and then we also can add employee. So in the dependent relation, we can also add primary key of the one side. This is many side. One side is what is employee ID. So I'm going to add employee ID, and then put it as a foreign key, and then this is what I add because this is one too many. So in the many side, this is many side. This is one too many, many side. I add the primary key on one side. Okay. Okay. In the employee table and employee history, we can do the same way that employee has history. So this is many side. So I'm going to add a social security number. I'm sorry, employee ID, because one side is employee ID. So I'm going to copy employee ID over here. Okay, and make it as a foreign key to indicate which employment history of this employee it belongs to, which employee this employee history belongs to. Alright, so this is a conversion from ER diagram to be relational model, which is a table. Now this is the second phase. So just be careful when you draw ER diagram, must be precise with multiplicity, and then you can correctly convert into relational model without any problem. Now the next step will be, if your ER diagram, then I guess if you finish this in your term project, that is done. So your third phase is to convert in ER diagram to relational model. Okay, so that is so this is the example, typical example, and this is the typical example that conversion. Now only one I don't have in my diagram is called one-to-one relationship. If somehow you have 1-to-1, and in that case, then you have to follow. This is chapter 17. Actually, there are some algorithm in chapter 17 about how to convert it from ER diagram to relational model. And then this is one of the reasons. This is one-to-one. Then you got to come here to look. I'm going to copy this to the website, and also I will go over this to conclude this example. Here says you have 1-to-1, then you create a relationship to represent a 1-to-1. It's complicated, but because the first thing is you want to create and relational tables for each entity. Now, then after that, what we should do is, so once you create an entity for each case, then you have three possibilities. And number is ABC. Number one is mandatory participation on both sides, or mandatory participation on one side, or optional participation on both sides. Now, if both sides are mandatory, then combine entity into one relation. Right? Then that will solve the problem. And then the primary key, and choose one of the primary key of original entity to be the primary key. If one is mandatory, the other one is not mandatory, then identify the parent and child entity. Entity with optional is called as parent. Entity as mandatory is called a child. So the copy of primary key of the parent is going to add into the relation or the tables of child side. Okay, and that is the relationship is one or more attribute. And then the attribute will be follow the posting of primary key to the child. Will go to the child. And then the other case is optional on both sides. Both sides are optional. Then the designation of parent and child is arbitrary unless we can find out more about the relation. Can have decision to make one way or the other. So you can choose any one of them as a parent, then copy the parent's primary key to the child. Okay, but I don't think this is common. This is not common. So I'm going to post this example. All right. So I'm going to post the example, and then you will let me know any question you have. Yeah, thank you.